How's it going, everybody? My name is Jim and welcome to Restoration Projects. This video is going to be an overview of this STE35SR. This is a 2.7 ton mini excavator and there's not a lot of information out there online or YouTube, and so I want to do a video just kind of going over it and talking about what it's like operating it, my impressions of it. And you can also see it in action here. So I am building a ATV trail. So I'm doing about 1,000 feet of trail through these blackberries, and this is second growth timber here. So just weaving our way through here. So the machine is branded a STE35SR. So that's the model. The name on the boom of the company that sells it is a CFG Industries. And CFG stands for China First Group. They are, I guess it's a subsidy of Agrotech. Agrotech owns AGT, and they are probably one of the biggest importers of micro and mini excavators into the US. Now, AGT builds their own excavators, so they build the 1 tons and 1.5 tons. But this particular excavator is built by another company, and AGT just buys it and brands it this STE35SR. So the company that truly builds this one is Shantui. And Shantui is a Chinese company that's been around since the 80s. And they started out building bulldozers, and then they got into excavators and other earthworks equipment. And they are probably what I would consider equivalent to like a Sani. So they're very close in comparison. The Shantuis, they're not sold in the US for some reason. I have not been able to figure out why that is or get an explanation for it. They are sold in Canada and in Mexico. So if you're close to the border there near either Toronto or Vancouver or down by Mexico City, then you can find them. But they're not sold in the US. As far as this machine goes, for what you could find a comparison to be, this is very closely related to a Sani, I think SY26U. That's their smallest machine you can get with a cab. And this one shares a lot of the same features and design and just parts. So if you look inside the cab, the plastic moldings under the seat exactly the same. The cab design is very, very similar. The boom on it is a little bit different. It's closer to an XCMG style machine than a Sani. Engine compartment, almost identical. They just have some stuff in different locations, such as the reservoir that holds the antifreeze. But they are very close cousins, if not, I would consider them siblings as far as how many interchangeable parts there are to them. Now, I haven't run a Sani doing any major work like this, so I don't know how it would compare, but I have quite a few hours on Bobcats and Kubotas. And I can tell you that this machine is every bit as smooth as those machines. The controls in this thing just, very, very refined, very comfortable to use. It's not jerky at all. The power to rate ratio is very good. If you watch some of my older videos, I did a review of the AGT is a KU45, which is a 7,000 pound excavator. So it's the next size up from this. The fit and finish on that is nowhere near as nice as this is. But that one you could tell had a little bit more weight to it. And I would say maybe a little bit more power. So it has a different engine in it. So that is noticeable, but you also have to take into account that these are two different class machines. That's a bigger machine in this one, and so you're naturally going to feel like you have just more power because you have more counterweight that's holding you down. So that is just something I want to note there. If you're curious how this compares to that one, you do notice that this is a little bit smaller, but for the lack of weight it has, it more than makes up for it in the fit and finish. This thing is put together very nicely. It doesn't have a whole lot of bells and whistles, but you don't need them. You just need a machine that works and that is, well thought out. And I think this machine hits all the boxes there for me. I'm what we consider a weekend warrior, so I don't need all the bells and whistles that you could find in a Cat or some of the fancier machines out there. I just need something that will work, that is reliable, and I can work on myself. And this one hits all the boxes, and this is also a very affordable option. So these machines are still being sold in the US right now. You can buy them through Agrotech's website. I think they have listed for $29,000. If you're near the LA or Chicago area, if you go and pick up from their warehouse so they don't have to ship it to you, they will negotiate the price with you. So they offered me, to pick up at the LA warehouse. I think they offered me they'd sell it to me for $24,000. So if you're willing to negotiate with them, you can negotiate. It just depends on how badly they want to make a sale, and if you can even get a hold of someone. It took a while for me to get a hold of somebody there because the phone number, it just rings and rings. So be patient. You'll eventually get a hold of somebody, but they don't have a big staff there to take calls. So yeah, $29,000 I think is what they had this thing listed for online if they want it delivered to your house. They offer a 1-year warranty with it, and I would just not even bet on that. If you look online, if you go to Agrotech's website, they list the phone number for the warranty and the sales department, same number, and it just rings and rings. It doesn't go to a phone tree where it says, hey, press 1 for service, press 2 for sales. It just rings. So, and no one's ever picked up when I've called it. So don't expect a whole lot of customer service, if any at all, with these machines when you buy them. This is the Wild West of you buy it, you're going to fix it, and just plan on that. So if you're not mechanically inclined or you don't have the time to dive into any issues that are going to arise with these, this isn't the machine for you. You want to find something that has service, if that's the type of person you are. If you're somebody who can fix things and has a background in that, and isn't afraid to take a risk to save some money, these machines are a great option. If you compare this to a Sany SY26, I think those things are right around $40,000 with a cab, maybe pushing $50,000 with 2 buckets. Where I bought this one used, and I was well under that. Well under the $29,000 too that they're offering it for it to be brand new. So there's quite a bit of savings you can get with these machines, and I felt very confident buying this because if Sany is willing to put a 5-year, 5,000-hour warranty on their machines, and this is a very close relative to them, then I'm willing to take that risk. I don't do a ton of work with this. Like I said, I'm just kind of a weekend warrior, so this isn't something I'm using every day, and my livelihood does not depend on this machine having, uptime. I can afford to fix it. So, yeah, you're not going to find much support with these unless you're in Canada or Mexico. If you're in the U.S., it's on your own. But they're a simple machine. I mean, it's the motor, the electronics on it are fairly simple. The computer system in this thing, the biggest pain in the butt with the computer system is it has a reminder that says, hey, it's time to change or do maintenance or change the oil at, I think, 200 hours. And you cannot clear that as the end user. It has to be done through their dealer, which, hey, guess what? There's none of them in the US. So every time you start up the machine, you just have to hit the silence button on it. It's annoying, but it's not a deal breaker. So not being able to reset the maintenance reminder button, that's not going to break it for me. My only other complaint with this machine is the geometry of the thumb. So if you look at this machine with the thumb fully retracted back, it still hangs down, probably, it hangs down a decent enough amount that if I fully extend the boom and I went out to dig with a bucket, the thumb would hit the ground before the bucket did, depending on where I was with the curl of the bucket. So not having the thumb retract all the way back, it can get in the way of digging. And you can cut the heel of the thumb hydraulic cylinder where it mounts to the boom and move it up 2.5 inches, and that will solve the problem. If you do a lot of moving material like what I'm doing here, using this thing for hog and brush, having that thumb hyperextended out actually is a very big benefit because I can reach out at the maximum extension of that boom and still have usable range of motion with that thumb and the bucket. So it does have a benefit by being so far hanging down when it's fully retracted. So it's not always bad, but it can be a nuisance at times as well. If you're wondering what the red thing hanging off the back is, that is actually a mini split air conditioner that I installed on this because it does get warm where I'm at, and it's a 12 volt mini split that you can get off Amazon. I think it's like $400, and it works just fine. It's easy to install. I just fabricated a bracket on the back. It worked great. It comes from the factory with heat, but no air conditioning. And I think that's just because the motor's so small and it's such a tight package anyway. Trying to add an air conditioner inside that engine compartment and that cooling pack, it just isn't very feasible. As far as the components go on this machine, the motor on it is a Yanmar motor. The hydraulic pump is a Shantui, so they build their stuff in-house. And same thing with the drive motors, they're labeled as Shantuis. I didn't see any other markings that would indicate that they were manufactured by another company, but that's also a possibility. And yeah, it's just, a pretty simple machine to work on. Changing oil wasn't hard. It's all relatively common parts here. It's just they come with a different name and a different number for each of the parts on the parts catalog. So you have to take the filters in and have them cross-referenced at your Napa or wherever you go to get your filters. So that's a little bit of a pain, but it's not a deal breaker. So yeah, the not having a service here, it sucks, but when you really think how often these machines go down, excavators have some of the highest uptime of any machine out there just because of their nature. They're just some joints, some hydraulic cylinders. You have one turntable and two sets of tracks and a blade and a motor and a pump. I mean, they're at the end of the day, they're very simple machines, and so they tend to have higher uptime and less breakdowns than other pieces of equipment on a job site. So I feel fairly comfortable with this machine, knowing that I can fix it. And you can get parts. Don't let that, don't think that you're on the moon and you just can't get them shipped to you. You can go through China. There's websites out there like Alibaba or I think buychinadirect.net or something along those lines that allow you to get in contact with suppliers over in China and just buy directly from them. And you can buy parts for these. And, I'm sure you could call up to the, Shantui dealer in Canada and say, hey, I have this, rebranded, 27 size machine. Can you sell me a part? They'll probably do that. So the parts are not impossible to get. It is just difficult to get if you reside in the U.S. But time will only tell if not having that support system is going to be a deal breaker for me, and if it's going to cause me a lot of issues with this machine. Right now I have just right around 290 hours on it. I put about 15 of those on there myself. Those other came from the previous owner. And this thing is, ran without a hiccup. So overall, I'm very happy with it. Happy with the performance, happy with the controls. Like I said, there's the thumb. You can see how it hangs down just a little far down, more than I'd like, especially if you're doing a lot of digging. But for right now, I'm going to leave it. So yeah, there's not a whole lot to complain about this machine. It just works. And that's the beauty of them, is they are no frills, just a machine that will just do what it's designed to do. And this one just happens to have the nicest fit and finish out of all the, shall we say, cheap Chinese excavators that you can get out there. Your trade-off is you're not going to have that support system there when you need to do maintenance to it and find parts for it. It is going to be a little bit challenging, but, if you're mechanically inclined, this is your machine. So hopefully that answers kind of the questions you guys have about this. And if you're looking at one of these, I'm very happy with it, but you got to ask those questions of, do I have the time, the ability, and the patience to fix one of these when it needs the repairs that all machines are going to need eventually. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. So just thought I'd share those thoughts with you. The rest of this video is just going to be this machine working here. So you're going to have the audio from the machine working, and we're going to finish punching this trail here. So thank you guys for checking out the video, and have a wonderful day.